I've run out of water. I'm gonna. Damn it! I've ran out of water. I can't believe it, Krista. If you're watching, I need more water. Um, because that's the sort of thing you do. Hey guys, just thought I'd pop on bit later tonight than normal. It's been one of those funny days. You know what? It's been one of those days of chores. Every so often you've got to do them. You just got to have a day where literally you do nothing but housework. And my wife is a slave driver. She really is. Anyway, folks, if anyone is actually on, listening, watching, give me a wee thumbs up, say, leave a comment. I just wish somebody needs to teach me how to viewing. What's this? Allow viewers to rewind? No. Stream? What's this? No. I wish I need to be taught how to actually see who's on, how many people are watching. I was doing watching a thing with what's his name, Brendan Hunter today. Really good voiceover voice artist, should I say? And he was able to tell how many people were actually watching. And this is weird because this is telling me there is no signal. So I don't know if I'm actually going out into the world yet. Did I do something wrong tonight? Have I disconnected myself from the world? Get smart about stream health. So while I'm waiting for anyone to turn up and just kind of no, and say that they're here, I'm just going to nosy about all the features on this Facebook thing. You know what? I'm also just going to go onto my phone and check that it is actually working, because according to this, it looks like I'm not actually got any stream health. Whatever that means, I don't know if I need to maybe drink some more Iron Brew or go to the gym. But oh, that's weird. So on my phone, there's a serious delay because I'm now watching it on my phone while I'm recording, and like I'm about 5 minutes behind. Oh, look at that. On my phone, it tells me how people are here. Oh, hey, darling, can you get me some more water? My wife just came on. This is a great way for people to communicate through houses. Samantha, thank you for letting me know you can hear me. I've now got my phone on. This is great. So I can see how many people are actually watching. I think this is the one. But it's like a good minute delay on my phone. Oh, wow. Is that what's happening now? Oh, that's weird. That's like, it's like the Matrix is broken. That's amazing. Just getting ready. My wife's about to probably walk in, as she actually was paying attention to get me some more water. But tonight I'm actually going to tell a story. I was thinking about this. Last night I felt that I cheated you all just with a 30-minute mad ramble. She's not coming to get me more water. That's a shame. She's such a one. Oh no, I hear her now. She's coming. I'm a horrible husband, by the way. Just forgetting things like this before I start doing live streams. But yes, I felt like I cheated y'all last night by not doing a story. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thanks. Cool. Yeah, sorry. She will stay behind the camera because that's her thing. But she has actually come to give me more water. And there was me bad mouthing her. It was terrible. Did you realize it's live on my phone, right? Yeah, I know it's live on your phone. Hi, Hamish. And my studio dog has arrived as well. Yeah, you need to go out, mate. Okay, thanks, darling. Okay, because it's completely professional what we're doing here. It's very important. Who's here? Catherine. Hey, nice to see you again. Yes, it's great. Krista just basically came in, gave me more food, more water. The studio dog, Hamish, walked in to say hello. He was hoping to hang out, but the problem is this wee studio's so warm. I've been in it for quite a while. Oh, yeah, no, that's too much. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, we'll leave that where it was. That it's actually getting quite warm in here as it is. So having a big hairy beast like Hamish in here, because he is a big pup. Anyone that has met Hamish as he's been growing basically looks at him now and just goes, yeah, he got big. because he is. He's a proper German Shepherd, Border Collie kind of cross. Hey, Liam, how you doing? I see your he likes something, I suppose. But yes, I was thinking about this, and I did the other live stream. What's it called? Socially Distant Fest. Um, I did a wee bit on that tonight. Just did one of the stories I'd already done on this channel, just to kind of, my energy levels are low today. As I say, we were doing lots of housework and chores. It's one of those days, you got to mix it up. Krista was saying, basically, I was forced into it because if I could, I wouldn't. I'm a really awful person when it comes to housework. Anyone out here love doing their housework? To see if anyone actually is crazy enough to say they like doing housework. 5 people watching. Oh well. At least somebody loves me. But yes, Caroline Stewart. What you got an email? Oh yeah, okay. This is weird because I keep getting messages and things highlighting that shouldn't be. Anyway, here's an interesting one. I'm going to ask because Catherine's on as well, and Catherine's amazing when it comes to certain things like social media. I tried to post live to Instagram today. I did a video, and twice I tried, and the first time it cut off halfway through, like a minute and a half in, cut off. You're allowed up to 60 minutes if you do a live video. Second one, it just wouldn't upload. None of them would actually go onto my Instagram feed, and I was being so nice. I was talking about the 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 socially distant fest. I hadn't even had anything to drink. I was talking about that. I was complimenting that awful man Ryan Reynolds. I love Ryan Reynolds. He's just so who doesn't love Ryan Reynolds? He's sickeningly handsome though, so he's making a lot of us guys feel very insecure these days. But I was complimenting him because Ryan Reynolds is doing some amazing stuff, donating like 30% of the aviation gin sales to the COVID, helping people, in need with COVID. He's doing so many amazing things. And my thoughts were, I wonder if I could call him out and say, what are you going to do to help performers? And then I thought, no, don't call him out, just compliment him. And then I had this idea, and I think this will be quite a fun idea, but unfortunately I need to get Instagram to work doing videos. But I think I shall try and invite a celebrity a day to one of my storytelling sessions. Just, tag them and say, hey, come and join this, and see what happens. Because did anyone see, what's his face? The big guy from Stranger Things. That's your problem, lack of drink. Yeah, probably, Scott. I don't drink as much anymore, Scott. It's crazy. David, what's his name? Big fella that plays the sheriff. He put this weird thing out on Instagram and basically handed out a number for people to message him and talk to him. I don't know. It's weird because he did it personally through a video, but I can't help but feeling there's a little bit of kind of robot stuff going on there. But you know what? I don't want to say that because he's a big guy and he would pummel me. There's not many people that I would kind of go, oh yeah. But like that David chap would pretty much just pummel me. I mean, I would just be a mess. Think I should sneak in my whiskey? No, Krista, remember what happened the last time I drank whiskey in this booth, which was probably about a week ago today or just over. I think I mentioned this last night. I literally ended up staying up till 4 a.m, messaging and phoning people all over the world in a very, very drunken way. It was hilarious to a lot of my friends. They thought it was great, but yes, I made a bit of I was a drunken mess while playing a tank game. I don't know if anyone knows about there's this I don't play many computer games these days, but World of Tanks Blitz. And it's on Steam, and I just play it as a free game. But the problem is, if you get 5 a.m, okay, yeah, see, I was that drunk I couldn't remember the time, darling. But basically, if you get drunk and you play World of Tank Blitz, it takes on a whole different meaning. Like, you just forget the purpose is to destroy people. You just drive around like a maniac crashing into stuff. So the concept is always, but yes, you're right, Scott. The concept is always better than the result. So yeah, I've been trying to work and do stuff, and World of Tank Blitz is about my only kind of interesting thing. Anyway, look, I'm gonna get on with this and do a story tonight. I think I mentioned a couple of nights ago, either last night, about a incident I once had doing a storytelling show where somebody called out a theme, and I stood there blank for a couple of minutes, wondering what to do. And I couldn't help noticing my wife kind of getting a wee bit, jumping up and down almost in a very subtle way. And basically, I couldn't figure it out until after the show, and she came up and told me what story of my repertoire that would have fitted, because I'd forgotten. I'd just completely forgotten. So I was thinking about this today, and I was kind of wasn't even sure I was going to come on and do a story tonight, because I'm pooped. I've been dusting, and I've hoovered, and I cleaned the litter trays, and I made soup. I'm getting good at making soup. I've got a thing. Oh, it's awesome. Got it from my Christmas, and it's fantastic fun. And literally, I send like soup flying all over the ceiling. I love it. What's it called? A blender or something? Not a blender. I don't know. I promise everyone when I do these, I have not been drinking and I don't do drugs. I'm just naturally a hyper person. Maybe it's like exhaustion and what's that worst task? Dusting. Yeah, I hate dusting. See, we also have to hoover a lot because we've got a huge dog and 2 cats. And literally, if you don't hoover a lot, the whole place is just like, you think we've got wooden floors, and you forget that sometimes when you've got so many animals in the house. All of a sudden, the place is just like fur carpets. So it's a hand blender. Thank you, darling. It's not some psychotic murderous thing I'm doing. It's a hand blender, and I love it. I love it. Diane, the mother-in-law, got it for my and father-in-law, Owen, got it for my Christmas, and I love it. I think it's the best thing ever. And for at the time, I was like, a hand blender for Christmas, but now I'm totally like, I am a soup maniac. I kid you not. Tonight was dill pickle soup. It just shows you how much I'm integrating into Canada. Anyway, it's all to do with my wife. She bullies me into these things. She forces. She's a vicious woman. If you've ever met her, an absolute delight. I'm feeling, I'm a cowed man because she makes me make soup, and she makes me dust, which I absolutely hate doing. But anyway, story time, folks. Thank you. I'm completely like. Somebody once told me I might suffer from ADHD. And basically, I haven't ever probably been tested, but the more I realize and read up on it, the more I realize that I am literally squirrel. And there's not even a squirrel in here, and I can squirrel in this studio. I have made this studio so basic, like without distraction, that I can literally, pickles. I'm adding that to, see? Oh my God. I literally can't even focus for 2 minutes in a conversation at times. I don't know how I managed to remember all these stories. Anyway, story tonight is just one of those fun ones. And it actually starts in an Edinburgh pub. Yeah, okay. I don't drink anymore. Yeah, it starts in an Edinburgh pub. And I'm totally out of it tonight. I'm so not focused on the world. So it starts in an Edinburgh pub. If you've ever been to Edinburgh, there's a lovely little bar just off the Waverley station. It's called the Hebridean Bar. And it's a wee traditional Scottish bar. They have live music in there. It's proper. It's like wooden floors, bar stools. I swear I saw sawdust in there once as well. It is a very rough little bar. It was once used by. How would you? Hey, Nick! Jeez, Jings! Jings Crivens, Nick Goats has stepped onto the arena. Basically, it was actually once a very famous hangout for one of the kind of more militant Scottish nationalist groups. I won't say terrorist organizations, but certainly they weren't far off, kind of like taking action as such. But this starts in the Hebridean Bar, and I was actually in there one day. Oddly enough, in my youth. And I was sitting at the bar having a wee beer, just minding my own business in between work. And I happened to look down the bar, and there was this wee old man. Oh, and I tell you, when you see someone and they're just miserable, They're just their faces hanging. They've got a drink, but they're hardly touching it. You know, his eyes were all red and puffy. He had a wee suitcase next to him, and I just thought, oh, this poor man. And I couldn't help myself. Something in me just kind of said, I need to go and speak to this man. So I went and I sat down and asked him if he was okay, and took a wee while. He started chatting, and then he started to explain that he was actually from the Isle of Barra, and he had just flown in to Edinburgh that day. And he started to tell me his story. You see, he lived in a little cottage on Barra with his wife, and he was a spurtle maker. Now, if you're unfamiliar, shut up, Nick. If you're unfamiliar, you know, sometimes this is actually becoming like a live show when people are actually heckling me through messaging. I like that. But basically, if you're unsure what a spurtle maker is, basically they turn wood and they create these wonderful kind of spoons and objet d'art for mixing porridge. The porridge oats. Oh, heavenly. Well, he was a spurtle maker, and he was the last spurtle maker on Barra. Now, his story begins one morning when he gets up and he has his cup of tea and he sits on the sofa and he starts to mull over what he's going to do with the rest of his day. You know, he's going to do a wee bit of work and all that. He looks over into the corner and there's his wee workbench with all these little kind of crafting tools and all that, and a few pieces that he's been working on to sell at the market. And he's fair content with himself. And his wife's tottering about the kitchen and doing stuff, and they have a breakfast, and then they, you know, she says to herself, well, what are you doing today? And of course he says, well, you know, I'm going to hang about the house, so I'll maybe do some work. And the wife thinks to herself, perfect. This is the best opportunity. She says, right, if you're going to be in the house, I'll head down to the market. I need to get some groceries, toilet paper and stuff like that, you know, just to make it topical. And basically, I need to go down to the market. And if you're going to stay at home, I've only got one thing for you. I need you just to do this one thing for me. Can you do one thing for me? And of course, he nods. Of course, darling, I can do that. Right. See yon big pot in the fireplace. That big pot, you know, we're talking about a big cauldron here, folks. She says, right, at some point during the day, the fairy wife's going to come. She'll knock on the door and she'll ask to borrow the big pot. Right? Now, have you got that? And the old man's kind of sitting there. Fairy wife, knocking the door, big pot. Right? Now, right? So now you've got that. You can agree to let her take the pot under one condition. Now, remember, are you listening? He's nodding his head. She can take the pot, but she needs to bring it back full. And of course, the spurtle maker's looking at her, and she says, now repeat that after me. Okay, well, the fairy wife's going to come. She's going to knock on the door. What? so I'm trying not to read messages mid-story. She's going to knock on the door. Right. And then basically you have to tell her she can take the pot, the big pot, but she needs to return it and return it full. And the wife nods and says, perfect. You'll remember that now. And of course he agrees and says, right, well, I'm off to the market. Well, our spurtle maker's kind of looking at his wife as she walks away and thinking, oof, what was that all about? Thinking she's maybe a wee bit dighted in the head. But he starts going about his day and he starts to think about the creations he's going to make. Now, for all the gentlemen out there, we know what it's like when we're thinking about inventing or creating, or we're feeling inspired. We need to think about it properly. So our spurtle maker does the one thing that, you know, helps him think properly. He sits in his seat and he puts his head back and he rests his arms across his belly and he closes his eyes to have a good think. And no sooner has he done that than he's got those nice, relaxing, heavy, reverberating breaths going on that help every man think. Well, our spurtle maker dozes off, and there he is for the day, snoozing in his chair. And all of a sudden he wakes up and he realizes that it's got awfully dark. You know, the sun's starting to go down and he has wasted his day. So he gets up and he starts to light some lamps and get ready. And as he does that, he catches something bobbing along down the lane out of one of the windows. And he looks and he sees this and he thinks, oh, what's that? And he thinks, oh, that might be the guests we're expecting. So he goes over to one of the windows and he looks out, and sure enough, he sees a strange little woman. She's a wee bit craggy. She's got a wee pointy nose. But as he watches, he starts to shake and tremble because he can't help noticing as she's bobbing along down the road, she's actually no touching the ground. And the fairy wife starts to come towards the cottage to get the pot. And our Spurtle maker panics. He absolutely is filled with a fear, and he starts slamming shutters and locking them. Locking the front door, locking the back door, sealing up the cottage, and then he does what any big, manly, brave soul would do. He hides behind the sofa. And he waits. And sure enough, there's a bit knocking at the door. And he hides behind the sofa. There's another knock at the door, and he hides behind the sofa. There's a thudding and a banging at the door. He can see the thing shaking, and he hides behind the sofa. Then all the windows are knocked and rapped and shaken. The back door is banged and shaken, and he is staying under that sofa. And then it goes quiet, and he thinks to himself, oh, she's gone. Oh, thank the maker, she's gone. Oh. And that's when she hears it. He hears it above his head. A rustling in the thatch, a movement. It sounds like someone's walking across the roof, and then the thatch is ripped aside, and this wee, ugly, pointy-nosed face is looking down into the cottage, smiling and leering at him. And our Spurtle maker just goes white. As white as a ghost, and he starts shaking. He's terrified. He's huddled in a ball behind the sofa, and down she hops, walks right over to the fire. She grabs the big pot, lifts it up, walks towards the front door. Now, it's about that time our Spurtle maker gets a wee bit of gumption about himself. He realises, hey, that's our pot. You're no taking that. And he runs over and he grabs the handle of the pot. Well, the wee fairy wife stares him in the eye. He stares her in the eye. They're both holding the handle of the pot, and then begins the tug of war, back and forth, both of them fighting to get the pot off the other. They're spinning, they're turning, they're knocking into walls, they're knocking over furniture. Now they're banging, they're tussling, they're rolling about the floor, and both are refusing to let go. All of a sudden, the sofa's overturned. Things are falling off the walls as they bang into them. The cottage is becoming an offy state, but that wee fairy wife's no finished. She is taking this pot, and all of a sudden, she starts to use her magic, and she starts to lift and rise off the ground, and our Spurtle maker is no letting go. So all of a sudden he starts to lift and rise off the ground. And now the fairy wife's got him. She starts spinning and hurling and turning, and all of a sudden the house is like a tornado's hit it. Everything's flying in the air. There's thatch, pictures, the sofa, the wood out the fire. Everything is flying around until eventually, crash, they both drop down onto the ground. But still, the Spurtle maker refuses to give up. And then the fairy wife does her most wickedest thing, because as the Spurtle maker's looking around the house and seeing the devastation, he looks over to his workbench, and there's a wee sort of moment as he realises it's undisturbed. But the fairy wife, she catches that look, and with a withering stare, she turns to the bench and she mutters something, and boom, the whole thing engulfs in burning flames, and all his work and tools turn to cinder. And that's it. That's what breaks our Spurtle maker. As he sees this happening, his grip loosens on the pot, and he just lies there in a heap on the floor, with tears running down his face. And the fairy wife, she is so happy. With a cackle and a laugh, she's out the door and down the lane. Well, it's no but an hour till the Spirtle Maker's wife starts coming down the lane, and she notices the cottage is in complete disarray, and she, in a panic, she runs in, and there she sees her useless, bedraggled husband lying on the floor with tears in his eyes. And she looks into the fireplace, and sure enough, it is empty. I asked you one thing, and you couldn't do that. Did you tell her to bring it back and bring it back full? And the Spirtle Maker, all he could do was shake his weary head. Exasperated, she sighs the hugest sigh and turns on her heels and marches out, screaming, if you need something done, you do it yourself. And up the lane she goes, over the hill, down into the valley, over the hill, down into the valley. Night is coming, but she is determined. She will get her pot back. And sure enough, in the distance, she sees it. The light of the fairy mound. The closer she gets, the more her bravery starts to fade. She starts to get a wee bit nervous. She knows the stories where you can enter these things and never return. But no, she's not going to let that get the better of her. She wants her pot back. She creeps in to the fairy mound. It's beautiful, it's well decorated, it's well lit, and she's walking through it quietly, tiptoeing. She comes to a door and she steps in and freezes because she sees sitting in front of the fire are two wee old fairy men. And there in the fire is her pot, bubbling full of meat. She doesn't know what to do until she realizes that she can hear those thoughtful, heavy breaths that every man has when they're contemplating something. And with that, she's filled with courage. She creeps in. Tiptoeing, she picks up the big pot, and it's heavy. She backs up slowly. Nobody's woken up. She's creeping out the house when it happens. For it's one of those big cauldron pots, you know, with the three legs. And as she's going over the hearthstone of the house, unfortunately, the back one just catches the stone and makes that awful screeching noise. And with that, the whole house wakes up. The two fairy men look at the fire and the pot's gone. The fairy wife appears, seeing that and looking at the door, she sees the Spirtle Maker's wife now running down the lane, and the fairy wife calls for the dogs. Hounds after her! And now our Spirtle Maker's wife is running with a pot in hand. It'd be hard for her to do that. She's running with a pot in hand, and behind her are two huge fairy hounds baying for blood. She's running, but they're getting closer and closer, and then it dawns on her. She takes a great scoop of the meat and throws it behind her and keeps running. The hounds stop for a second to wolf it down, and they're on her heels again, running and running. More meat is thrown behind her. The hounds stop, running and running. More meat is thrown behind her, and the hounds stop. Soon enough, she sees her wee cottage, and she's running and running, but the hounds are back on her, faster, gaining, and in desperation, she takes the pot and tips out the rest of it and keeps running. And the closer she gets to her cottage, she starts to get more safe, feel like she's going to make it, when all of a sudden she hears the hounds. They've eaten the lot and they're back after her. She's close enough now. She can see her cottage, and she roars and bellows and whistles for her own dogs. Two shadowy beasts leap over the fence, and now as she falls through the door, she turns to see blood and snotters and teeth flying as the four dogs fight each other. Well, as she tumbles in to the cottage, She looks to see where her husband is, and that poor wee man hasn't moved since she left. But as he sees his wife tumbling through the door, all bedraggled and sweaty, and hears the kerfuffle happening outside, he can't take it anymore. He looks around the cottage, looks at his wife, sees snoters and blood and slavers and everything, fur flying outside. And that's it. He gets up. He heads into the bedroom where he grabs a wee suitcase. He packs that wee suitcase. He walks out into the living room, looks at his poor workbench, looks at his poor wife, and walks out that door. As he's walking out the door, he looks and he sees the blood, fur, slavers and snotters and teeth flying as the 4 dogs fight in the lane, and he just can't take it. He turns and he walks down the lane towards the beach at Barra. After 20 minutes of walking, he gets to the beach just in time for the plane. He hops on that little plane on that beach, and it flies into the air, does a wee twist, and heads inland. After an hour or so on that wee plane, he lands at Edinburgh Airport. From Edinburgh Airport, he jumps on the airport bus, and that takes him to Waverley Station. From Waverley Station, he looks around and he sees the first bar he can find, which is the Hebridean, where he steps in, he sits at the bar and orders himself a pint. And it's roughly about 10 minutes after that a handsome, young, charming Scottish storyteller goes and sits down next to him, because that storyteller realizes that this man is upset looking, a wee bit weary, and he wants to see if there's anything he can do to help him. And it's about that time that this man starts a fabulous and intriguing story. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the story that he told me that I have now just told you. Thank you very much. That's called the Black Cauldron. Haven't told that for a while, mainly because I keep forgetting about it. And yeah, I think I maybe got that out of order, but you know what? It's always good fun telling stories anyway. What have we got here? That's 2 nights in a row when randomly scrolling through Facebook, I've encountered your live feed. Always nice to see your cheery face. Thank you very much, Andrew. It is a very cheery face. It's handsome, it's charming, it's delightful. Truth, sofas are a safe place. Nick, I'm not going to say it live, but I heard a New Year's Eve story. I don't know if that's true. I am so sorry. I got told a wee tale, and I don't know how true a sofa is a safe place. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope everyone is doing okay. Thank you very much, Nick. Always lovely. I'm so glad you joined. I hope you and the family are doing well. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you've got enough toilet paper. You've got enough food. At the moment, we're not too crazy here. The UK, where my family are, Nick's got a lot of friends over there as well. Things are a wee bit hairy over there. One of the things that I've been telling a lot of people is we are doing really well in Canada. In the UK, anybody over the age of 70 has been asked to isolate for 4 months. So think about that, folks. If you're over 70 in the UK, they're asking you to isolate for 4 months. That is a really hard thing for anyone to do, but anyone over 70, you know, that's a tough thing, you know. That's a big challenge. My mum's over there. She's over 70. She's isolated. I keep messaging. I actually have tried to call her a few times for once. I'm trying to be a good son. I'm not very good at being a good son, but I do try. So, folks, do keep safe. If anyone ever wants to chat to me, if anyone wants to talk to me, video message me or anything, drop me a message. We'll do that. You know, I'm happy just to sit and have a chat with someone over the phone or over video messaging. I just want to make sure everybody is doing okay. I've said a few times on these chats, I am actually not finding too much of a difference to my normal lifestyle at the moment. I know some people are experiencing different things or feeling a wee bit unsure about stuff. I basically work in my studio. I work from home all the time. So this hasn't really affected me too much yet in any kind of disruptive way. Admittedly, my first event gig was supposed to be this Saturday. So my actual performance season was supposed to start this Saturday. And, you know, I might start feeling it in the next couple of weeks when all the gigs that I knew were coming in are no longer in existence, but we'll see what happens. But guys, I'm at least here until August. It looks like most of my events up till August are cancelled. Hopefully the ones in August will go ahead. We don't know. So you're going to get a lot more of me. I hope you don't mind. I will try and tell as many stories, keep you entertained, and have fun with you as much as possible. It has been a pleasure. Thank you very much again, guys, for joining. This will be live on the page, recorded on the page. So anyone that's missed it, and has now watched it and got to this point, hi, how you doing? Where were you for the live one? They're much more fun. But again, guys, thank you. Enjoy. Much love. Have a nice night. And I'll see you all tomorrow.